This video is part 3 on how to do your expert task homework. So you'll be ready for part 3 when you have finished parts 1 and 2. I'm going to give you a little refresher on parts 1 and 2 before we jump into part 3. So you should, to complete part 1, you should now have, well, firstly, you should have your topic written here, that's for sure. And then you watched the copy-paste video. And when you watched that video, you learned how to copy and paste, and you found three articles about your topic. So that was part 1. Part 2, you read those 3 articles and you found 1, 2, 3 pieces of evidence for each article. So you can see for article 1 I have 3, for article 2 I have 3, and for article 3 I only have 2. And I just wanted to show you, if you click, just a final reminder of how that works. You click on that article and you wait a long time for it to load, and you get to that article, and you're going to devote a lot of time to reading this article, making sure the article is at your level. You can change the level again up here. Most students should be reading at level 500. 380 is a little too easy, 650 a little hard. So you read the whole article, and I've read this article, so I know that my last piece of evidence was here. It was about echo. And I'm just going to click and drag, push Control-C, come back to my homework, and I'm going to put my last piece of evidence, pushing Control-V, I paste it in there. So now I have 3 pieces of evidence for this final article, and 3 times 3 is 9, so I should have 9 pieces of evidence. So this week for part 3, what you're doing is reading over your evidence again and trying to find connections between your evidence, and you're going to put your evidence into 3 sections. So I'm going to read my evidence with you right now. We'll look at article 1 first. Vampire squids are not vampires. That actually doesn't seem like very good evidence at all, because why do I want to have anything about squids when my topic is what again? Bats. So I'm actually, this is a good learning moment. I'm actually going to, I'm going to delete that evidence. I'm going to go back to this article, see if I can find any, find any stronger evidence that is connected to my topic, which is what again? My topic is bats. So why would I want to read about vampire squids? I think this might actually be more helpful here. This line here, what do vampire bats, vampire squids all have in common? They're not vampires. Let me see. I can also do Control F, look for bats. See, is there anything else about bats that interests me? No, I think I'm going to stick with this one. So, okay. So again, I copy, Control-C. I go back to my article, to my document, and I put the better evidence here. I push what to paste? Control-V. Okay, so now I'm going to read my evidence. What do vampire bats, vampire squids, vampire squirrels, and vampire deer have in common? They're not vampires. So what is the big focus of this? Bats are not vampires. Down here it says, vampire bats are the only critters that definitely drink blood. Vampire bats rarely go after humans. I mean, what can I find about all of these in common? They all seem to be about vampire bats. So I'm actually, for now, I've decided this is all about vampire bats, and I'm going to highlight it. So I clicked and I highlighted all of this, and you see this little plus button. I'm going to push that, and I'm going to write myself a message. This is about vampire bats. That's what this all has in common. Okay, I'm going to come back down here. Blood can be hard to get. Vampire bats who shared with many other bats could live longer than bats who shared with only a few. Okay, so this is from Article 2, this part here, but it is connected to this topic, vampire bats. So I'm going to write a comment here to myself. This is also about vampire bats, and I'm going to write a comment. So this, though, is different. Bats would not feed bats that did not feed them. And down here, at first, the number of friends does not seem to matter. However, the bats might lose their bat friend, then having many backup friendships is important. So all of these three are about bats have friendships that help each other. So I'm going to make a new comment here. It's going to be called Bat Friendships. So now you can see that I have how many different subtopics? So far I have 2, vampire bats and bat friendships. And this is a special piece of evidence because this special evidence can go into both sections, vampire bats and bat friendships. Let's go down here to my last 3 pieces of evidence. Bats are night creatures. They use echolocation to navigate and find food in the dark. Some bats live by themselves while others live in caves with thousands of other bats. The echo tells the bat the object's location. Okay, so I can see that this evidence and this evidence, they are connected. They are both about finding food and echolocation. But this piece of evidence is a little different. This piece of evidence is about the environments, the ecosystems, or the locations that bats live in. So I'm actually going to put this evidence, I'm going to cut it. I pushed Control X to cut it, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to, just because I'm crazy organized. And I Control V, I put it down here. But you don't have to do any of that. What's most important is that you label these. So what did we say these 2 were about? They are about finding food. So there's our 3rd subtopic. And now we have this one last piece of evidence, which is, where do bats live? Does that connect to bat friendships? Maybe. Does it connect to vampire bats? No, not really. How could it connect to bat friendships? Well, bats, they work together. They help each other. And down here, this part here says some bats live by themselves while others live in caves. So I actually think we could add this last piece of evidence to bat friendships. I think we could put that in that section. I'm going to do that. Bat friendships. Okay. So this is the homework for this week. This is what you need to have done by the end of this week for writing workshop. You need to read through your evidence and try to put it into 3. If you need to, 4, but I really think 3 is the best number here of subtopics. As you can see again, my topics are what? My subtopics are vampire bats, bat friendships, and finding food. And my overall topic is bats. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful, but I'm always here to answer any of your questions or concerns. Over and out.